For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a review on a product really from Isabella, or actually Ventura. So with me here today I've got the Ventura Pacific. Terrible at saying that name, but hey ho. So the Pacific is essentially a awning that's really it's kind of actually, to be fair, is kind of Isabella's ethos in terms of how it's manufactured, the workmanship, the features very much in it. The difference being is actually what they've done is they've put it under their sort of sister brand, i.e. the Ventura name, mainly because of the fabric itself. So you've got the Isabella quality, but with kind of a more polyester and price pointed fabric. So it's still, to be honest, an incredible fabric, and you compare it to like to sort of Dreamer or Dometic or anything like that, it's actually superior to that. But from a price point of view, it sort of stems that gap between kind of your more budget awnings, your mid-range awnings, to your high end, which you really tend to use to with Isabella. So if you're looking for something more price pointed and you still want a good level of quality, that's where this works really quite nicely. And actually that's where we'll start with in terms of talking about the fabric itself. So what we've got actually here is a fabric that's actually made from Tenkati. If you've ever heard of the brand, it's a very high established kind of fabric brand. Great for weaving the materials. It's basically a coated polyester, so it's not a breathable material like you would get with the acrylic, but it's waterproof and it's very durable. Actually, you can still use this seasonally, and actually, I would say, in comparison to probably a lot of other season awnings, it's actually far above sort of superior. So the joys of this actually is the way they dye the materials as well. So it's dyed from the thread, sort of the yarn, rather than essentially when the material's woven. Now this is important basically because there's a difference between, say, a carrot and a radish, where you cut a carrot in half, you have the colour all the way through, whereas a radish you cut a radish in half, colour on the outside, white in the middle. Now as you get kind of UV sunlight and the awning's up for a year, 2 years, or short periods of time, even that, the UV starts stripping away that outer coating. So naturally, in the radish scenario, you get the pure white come through. So that's where it looks faded and a bit more tired. Whereas when you look at like Isabella awnings, for example, it looks sharp as ever, and that's because you got the colour all the way through the thread, so it looks fresh and like you bought it brand new a few years down the line. So again, that's one of the most important things. And actually, in Denmark, it is probably in Holland, it is the go-to awning for kind of seasonal pitches over there. So, and because it's a little bit lighter, you can also use it for touring use if you really wanted to. The main reason you kind of opt for this over kind of something like the Capri, which is kind of going to be Isabella's sort of breathability things, mainly it's probably go down to be more to price. Yeah, really. So it's available in sort of different depths. So it's essentially this full awning, so it goes obviously all the way through the Caravan. So it's going to fit your Caravan quite nicely, not across any windows. 2 depths. We've got a 250 and then also a 3 meter, so you can pick and choose how deep you want it to be. With me today I've actually got the 250, so yeah, it's called the D250 or the D300 depending on what you go for. Really nice and easy, great to pitch. What you find as well is it comes available in 2 frames, so you can buy the normal Xenox frame, which is about a 26mm steel pole frame, same that Isabella use on pretty much all their awnings, or they've got a fiberglass frame, so it's a little bit lighter, still quite structurally strong, but it's just not quite as strong as kind of say the carbon that they do in the normal range, but it's a great offering, and again from a price point, again it's a little bit more competitive, so for that touring use and a bit lighter, that's where it's a good option. All the panels can be completely removed, so if you're looking to pack it away, make it a bit easier to pack away or even to pitch, removing the side panels and the front panels is quite nice and easy to do. In terms of the way it's physically produced and manufactured, that's still made in Europe, and it's still made in the same Isabella way. So what we find is all the roof seams are sort of triple folded and double stitched to get that real sort of nice tight fixture. And again, same quality with sort of things like spiral chain zips. So even everything is tooth counted, so they know exactly the length of every one to the last little tooth. But also, when you've got kind of, it tends to glide a bit, especially when you get tension points. So that's where a big, nice, fat, over chunky zips make it very easy to do that as well. So that's a really quite nice little option. You've got a built-on kind of little mini canopy to protect it, so it's that kind of traditional kind of look, but it only comes out not all the way to the fully bottom, but unlike most brands, you actually have a canopy pole along this top section, so better strength, better rigidity, and again, it's going to actually tear that water quite nice and easily, and you've got much more structural stability on that side as well. As we move kind of to the corners, we can see the panels as we've got here. So we've got a kind of, we'll call it a 70-30 door. So you've got 30% door section, and then you've got a nice big panel here as well. So one side has got the big mesh, and you've got your privacy curtain, whereas the other side is just kind of your normal PVC window. So you can choose to have ventilation on the side, or of course, like I said, the PVC window zips down the side and then toggles in place. So you have that sort of flexibility. Other things to point out again is the way all the things, the baffles are all done. Down the point, we've got the same kind of Isabella kind of styled regulation tabs. So this is the point where actually you get the frame that actually attaches to the awning, and it's basically locked in two positions. So it looks directly through the roof here as well, and down the bottom. So by locking the frame to the canvas, what you find is actually it's structurally stronger, but more importantly, you actually get better torsion. And then when you're sort of guying it, you're guying both the frame and the canvas together. So not many brands do that, and all of the joints are preset as well. So the thing that's nice as well, if you've got no flexibility in the joint, it's fixed, it's rigid, it's going to be a bit stronger in those winds. You can also buy additional Typhoon little kind of guide straps, sort of little guy ropes, bring it down here with a little wooden slider just to get the tension. So again, that's a really nice little option. Alternatively, I would personally recommend the little storm straps come down here, out forward, just to real beef up that whole section as well. You've still got classic things like PVC mud skirts as well, so it's good, a lot of durability into it, with little eyelets point through so you can peg nicely through that. You've got the Campo Isofix kind of elasticated parts, so again you've got a little bit more give to there, and you can replace those very easily. So again, something that Isabella use on their top end awnings, and all the features are sort of passed down into kind of the Ventura collection. Ventilation point located at the front here to help with airflow. So it's really nice to get a bit more airflow, especially because it's not a breathable fabric. That's where, you know, airflow is key. So hence the side panel and the front panel as well. Curtains supplied obviously inside, and we'll have a look at that in a second. There is a little bit of a rolling update for that for the 24 season. Extra tie points here if you wanted to get, you know, a bit more security. So you can buy extra guy ropes, tie that down, and just give it real sort of bounce and braces kind of feel. But I'll tell you what, actually let's head inside kind of the Pacific and talk through a few more features that the awning has to offer. So now we're inside the awning, you probably appreciate kind of the overall size of it. Like I said, having that sort of 250 depth, you can probably appreciate kind of, actually with that front panel, even with table and chairs, you are sort of just enough away from the awning, you can actually open your sort of caravan door. Of course, if you wanted to go for the 3-metre frame, by all means, that works really quite nicely. So you get an extra sort of ½ a metre, so it's a sizable chunk, but obviously it depends on what your pitch actually allows you to do, and especially seasonal pitches, sometimes they can be a bit sort of finicky about it. The two types of frames we've got. So I said we've got the standard sort of Xenox frame, so you've got your kind of T-Rex clamps, so you get, nicely done, nice bit of adjustment on there, and it holds quite firmly. So again, it's something Isabella used, and it's a standard frame pretty much for them, whereas with obviously Ventura, you've got then sort of the carbon frame, fiberglass frame. So fiberglass frame, still structurally strong, but then you can easily pitch it's a little bit lighter in physical weight, admittedly smaller pole, but you can still feel that anyway. Obviously, headroom height here is pretty boastful, and obviously because it's going to fit the whole length of the caravan, you can maximise the whole space. There is also an optional annex you can look at putting onto it, and it can go on either end, so you can obviously make it bigger if you want some stability for sleeping capacities. That works really quite nicely as well. As standard, you do get actually one veranda pole for it, so you can put that either in the front section or across the side, so that gives you sort of a bit of a benefit there. But I think also you can see the crystal clear windows, and again with the PVC quality that kind of Ventura, Isabella use in their fabrics, is that you haven't got to worry about any worry about any external blinds, just because you get a great clarity, but the quality that's going to essentially last. And that's one of the things you didn't say about the fabrics they use. It is kind of a different level in that kind of sense. Great sort of feel. You've still got the same kind of feel on the roof, and just looking how kind of sharp it looks, even kind of for what they call like a mid-range awning, you know. And considering this is kind of the bottom of Isabella's collection, it's still quite surprising the detail and the workmanship that goes into it, and that's probably against why you pay what you pay for the awning itself. A rolling update to make you aware of for 24 is the fact that there is going to be a curtain change. It's going to move to kind of the Isabella's curtain, so probably by the time this video comes out, actually, pretty much all the sizes will be kind of moved out. It's going to be a bit of pot and luck to what you get initially, but eventually we'll move on to the curtains. Curtains Really nice. You can turn the pattern inside or out depending on what you want to do. You've got little ties located there, and because it's obviously a nice flat panel, it sits really nice and closely to that window panel to get that sort of coverage as well. And as previously mentioned, you can obviously remove the panels completely just to get the inflow. But in terms of, again, the attention to details, what we find out is all of the corner points are reinforced. So whenever the pole meets the actual canvas itself, what you find is there's reinforcements on the main stress points. Also, there's a little sleeve located on the front side here as well, and that essentially is where to stop the pole robbing. So again, it's all about durability, and all these little details do make a big difference. You've still got kind of this classic kind of track system that runs along here as well, so you can add things like storage pockets, as you can see here, to maximize your space. It means you can have things like keys, phones, books in there out of the way, rather than being cluttering the actual awning itself. But I do just love the feel of it. There are obviously a range of carpets you can go for. So you've got kind of like the Bolon carpets from Isabella, and it's sort of different depths depending on the widths and 3 different colours to choose from. So you can really kind of mix and match kind of what fabric you want, or you want to feel a bit lighter, a bit darker. But in fact, let's bring the camera in actually and just go through a load more up close and personal details. Okie dokie. So what I've done here is I've dropped the panel down to give you a bit more idea. You see how kind of it sags a bit without a veranda poles. That's where it's quite a nice little feature. This is the thing I was talking about in terms of locking into the frame. So you've got a point located up here, and then the regulation tab the pole sits into down here. So it's locked directly to the frame, gets it looking really sharp and easy to get a lot more tension into it. You've still got the points, lever points here that are located to get extra tension from the guide points. And then on the underside, so you've got a canopy sleeve. So again, it sits really nicely and gets that really proud. And that top vent then gives you a bit of rain shelter from it. So even if it's rain, you can still have that top vent quite nice and neatly open. PVC skirts, like I said, there's the extra points there located for pegging onto. As we kind of come in, so it feels really nice and smart. Great sort of crystal clear windows, and like I said, the little touches of things like the lights and lampshades, which obviously you can add to the one to make that sort of more homely feel. And the reinforced points I was referring to will is these parts here. So again, you've got a whole sort of structural point, and even where the pole meets it, you can see that extra bit of fabric there. So that's again to stop it rubbing on the material. So for longevity purposes, you know, you want to buy it once you buy it right. So you don't want to be replacing the part or wearing it through. Generally, we don't tend to recommend having straps over the top of these kind of awnings because again, it wears on the material. But the structure is so strong, you don't really need to. You can do if you want to, but generally, it's not too much of kind of an issue as such. When you see that sort of same door there, so you've got the window panel centralised and that door to the left, so if you interchange this panel with the other panel, it means essentially the door would then move to the back of the awning rather than the front. But again, you can pretty much pick and choose how you want that to kind of lie. Same kind of fix-on systems with the top and how these kind of central poles, and that's one thing Isabella / Ventura are really good at doing, is actually giving you enough roof braces to make sure it's nice and structurally strong. Little pocket located down here, so this actually is for the veranda pole if you want to have it across the side panel, so you have it like a really nice sort of halfway point, so that works well. And then you've got the extra PVC skirting just to make sure it's all nice and tidy. A draft skirt comes included as standard as well, so you get pretty much everything, the core things you need. The only things you really want to think about obviously is what frame you go for, but also some of the storm straps additionally you want to add to it as well. All of the main kind of pegging points are actually kite stitched, so it's the strongest kind of stitch you can go to, but makes it really nice and strong. And then, as previously mentioned, with the zips, really nice smooth spiral chained oversized zips, so that again is a really nice little thing to be sort of wary of as well. But as we kind of come out the awning, we'll kind of come back and round. I think even from, say, like this side here, how smart that sits, how smart it looks. Fabric of the highest high footer as well. I think it does make it look quite premium. But I think again it's a nice offering for someone who still wants a really well made awning, doesn't want to spend, you know, an absolute fortune, but still likes their fine details of this and that. And it's what we kind of have in our showroom at, in Gloucestershire is a lot of Isabella's on display, but what you find actually as well is that we have the dove, so you can see the fabric and the workmanship of kind of the Isabella, but you can choose the fabric. So we kind of have it in a way, we have this on display in a way. It makes sense, like we try and cross-reference everything, so it has a sort of point in purpose. And again, even small things like the sizing, how they size their full awnings is different. It's not a generic sort of 15, 16, 17. It's actually more bespoke sizes. So Isabella like to be a bit more precise with it, so they break the size down even more, so that way we can check out your van size, make sure you get the right one for you, so it's going to fit right every time. And if it doesn't for any reason, it's the one kind of in Isabella's handbooks which recommend, not usually wrong, they can alter it free of charge to make sure it's going to work right. And that's all part of that kind of service that kind of Isabella do, or Ventura I should say do, for the whole fabric. So yeah, all in all, I like it. It's not too expensive in kind of the awning world, especially when you compare it to, you know, its sister brand. But it's smart, it's functional, it feels lovely, and I can see the details, which I'm very detail oriented if you can't tell. So yeah, you get the feel of it with, admittedly not the breathability, but for the price point, I can't really argue with it really, especially when you compare it to the likes of Dreamer or anything like that, you know, Radcott. You don't still have the same feel. You don't have the same workmanship, the same finish, the same thing. That's where, for me, personally, I think it's a really nice happy medium. So for more information, of course, feel free to check the link below this video, take you through to all of our sort of latest features that we've got listed on this product, with also the pricing and also the different depths, different frames, and you can work out kind of what's going to suit your van best. But for all means, let us know in the comments box below what you think of the awning. It's always great to have feedback as well, be it good, bad or ugly. But in all, that's kind of our little video review on the Ventura Pacific in a 250 and a 300 size. Hopefully we'll see you again soon in our next Attwoolls video review.